Hi everyone, this is Jim Skelly and this is the Global Conversation. It's the fourth of our mini lectures in this semester. We have a lot to talk about tonight. Today, as some of you know, is 10-10-10, and the 10-10 campaign has been kicked off all around the world. I'll tell you a little bit about that shortly. Let me first, however, turn to what's on our agenda with the course this week, and there's some very, very important things to take a look at. Some of you are probably working at around theme 5 or 6. I'm going to post this mini lecture under theme number 6. What I'd like you to do, however, in addition to listening to what I have to say, take a look at the lecture by Jared Diamond. And it's called Collapse, just like the book that I hope you're all able to read. And it's about an hour's lecture with Diamond in which he talks about the major points that he makes in the book itself. It will be very, very useful to you, especially if you have not been able to get a copy of the book to date. The other thing, and it sounds a little bit strange, we've had some discussion. I noticed that Tanith was talking about the hurricane down in Veracruz, and what I think we see happening, people talk about it as though it's climate change, and I think that is one way to talk about it, but one of the other lectures we have, discussions we have today, is this week, is with John Holdren, President Obama's science advisor, who's talking, instead of talking about global climate change, is talking about climate disruption. I think it may be a much more accurate term, because that is, in fact, what seems to be happening. Climate seems to be changing, but in an inconsistent way. It's not just warming, it's also getting colder sometimes, etc. There's also a terribly, terribly interesting, I've only put up part 1 for you to listen to, but the Canadian Broadcasting Company did a very, very good series with the scholar of war and peace, Gwynne Dyer, looking at climate wars. So we've put up the link to that broadcast, the first part of it. But if you get a chance, listen to the rest of it as well. You'll find it over in the resource library under section number 6. The other thing, in addition to the other readings, take a look at E.O. Wilson's short piece called "Is Humanity Suicidal?" He does not think that we are, but there are those who do think we are. So you might want to take a look at that as well in the coming week. Now, there are a couple of other things I wanted to point out to you. I will get you a link to the 1010 website in the email that I send you. But also, we put up at the top of the course webpage an indication, a map. If you click on it, it says real-time carbon emissions. It's a map showing you exactly what's happening in terms of carbon emissions around the world. So you can move the cursor on your computer and place it over different countries, and you'll see some, unfortunately, shocking facts as you look at all of this. So take a look at that. The other thing that we're asking you to do this week is take a look at your carbon footprint. Your ecological footprint. We'll ask you to look at your carbon footprint next week. But take a look and do the project. We've set up a special forum for it and a link to the World Wildlife Fund, which will give you an opportunity to measure your ecological footprint. And for those of you who are studying in a country other than your home country, you might try to measure it in both places. We know that American students, for example, find that they have a much bigger footprint when they're in the United States than when they're not. So take a look at that and see what you can determine. Also, Jason Remy Manso from Canada, who has rejoined the class. He took it about 18 months ago, actually, and he posted a very nice sort of thank you, Thanksgiving commentary that's up on YouTube. And it's about the course, and he says some very nice things. And I thank you for that, Jason. But I also wanted to point out, he raised something that I thought I should point out to all of you. If you want to stay in this course, once you've taken it once, you can come back. There's no charge for it. You can come back and be part of the community that continues to look at the issues that we're looking at in this class. And as many of you know, these issues are changing all the time. So if you feel like staying around and becoming part of the community that seems to have developed around this, please be in touch with me. Let me know. You don't have to finish up this semester. You're doing it, most of you, the overwhelming majority of you are doing it for academic credit right now. But you're welcome to stay on. Once you've taken the class, you can stay on and be part of the community and help us build it as a virtual community, if you will. Also, a couple of other things. Emma Taylor, who's one of the teaching assistants in the class, posted a link to I'm also going to post it for you. Emma also posted a link to a video about fruit production, especially pineapples, in Costa Rica. And oddly enough, I was talking to someone today at the Earth University in Costa Rica. They are, think that our course is terribly interesting. And so, who knows, we may have students from Earth University in the future. What I would want to point out, though, is that it's very important to take a look at these links. Emma put it in one of the fora, and I'll send it to you in the email that I send on as well. I also want to talk about air conditioning. Now, we don't think too much about the problems of air conditioning, I don't think. We don't realize that it's as big a problem as it is. But almost 20% of electricity consumption in the United States alone goes to air conditioning. That's as much electricity as the entire continent of Africa uses for everything. So I know, as you all know, I think by now, there are a number of students in Kansas sitting on top of the Ogallala Aquifer, among other things. But another thing that is true, that there's been an interesting report out. He's just produced a new book, a guy named Stan Cox, who lives not too far from McPherson College. He lives in Salina, Kansas. And his new book is called Losing Our Cool: Uncomfortable Truths About Our Air-Conditioned World and Finding New Ways to Get Through the Summer. I'll send you the links to that as well. Very, very important to think about, how much energy we're using just to keep cool in the summer, and there are a lot of other ways to deal with the heat. Although the heat is getting worse, but air conditioning probably just makes it worse because it keeps heating up our atmosphere, right? So we all wind up, huddling in extra cool buildings in the summertime. Not a good idea. So this guy's name is Stan Cox, as I've said. He's a scientist and agricultural researcher who lives in Salinas, Kansas. And I think I'll send you a link to the article and something about the book as well. Now, the other thing that has happened this week, you want to take a look at what's happening with the sort of interim climate talks that are occurring in China. There seems to be some positive information coming out of those. There have been real problems, as you know, following the breakdown of the talks in Copenhagen. And there's worry that governments are really not doing what they should be doing. Well, I'll send you a link to what seems to be a reasonably optimistic analysis of the talks that have been occurring in China, even though the delegates from China and the United States were sort of at each other. okay? But you need to stay abreast of that because I think things are going to move very fast all of a sudden. Finally tonight, I want to talk to you about what's been happening in Hungary. As some of you know, there has been this break of a reservoir, the dam holding together a reservoir where the red sludge from the production of what the Americans call aluminum and what people in this part of the world called aluminium. The sludge wiped out a couple of towns when the reservoir dam broke, and it seems, as I'm speaking to you, as though another break in the wall may occur, and various towns are now being evacuated. I've put together a link to a BBC radio report about this. It's only about 3 or 4 minutes on the program Broadcasting House this morning, and I'll send you the actual data on it. But what you want to think about is how aluminum or aluminium is produced and the extraordinary environmental consequences of this. Again, it's one of these things where you have to connect the dots. Everybody uses aluminum, but doesn't think about even recycling the aluminum that we do use. As one of the people being interviewed mentions, the amount of aluminum that is just not recycled from beer and soft drink cans every 3 months is enough aluminum to create the entire U.S. commercial airplane fleet, and they just throw it away. So we want to start thinking about doing things in a different way. I think you'll find these 3 or 4 minutes useful. I also appreciate some people have given me some feedback on the problem of Sumabac D10. I hope some of the other students in the class will also take a look at that in the course discussion forum, and let me know if you can find a good alternative for Sumabac D10. Okay, I hope everyone's enjoying the course. There seems to be a great deal of activity in the Learning Circle discussions and in other discussions as well. But if you yourself individually have not been able to contribute anything, please just dive in. I mean, I'm sure you're starting to think about some of the issues that we're talking about in this class that are relevant to your own life. So please do dive in as soon as you can. All the best, and I'll talk to you in another week.